9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Welcome to YouTube Live, Islands in the League, presented by DraftKings. Game 4. Obviously, Nuggets with a huge win on the road. Before we get to that, I have to complain a little bit. I want to be honest with you guys. First of all, thank you for hanging out at 11:28 on a Friday night on YouTube. For everybody that's in the chat right now, love y'all. Appreciate y'all. I had a 6-leg parlay on DraftKings tonight. I had Denver covering the spread at 3.5. Check that. I had Aaron Gordon over 10.5 points. Check that. I had Jimmy Butler under 29.5. Check that. I had Michael Porter Jr. over 9.5. Check that. Jamal Murray assist 8 or more. Check that. Nikola Jokic over 27.5. The fifth foul, where he goes to the bench for 5 minutes. Screwed me. Plus 1,100 on that parlay, and I lost out on it. We can't win them all. On that note, I will say, huge stretch of the game after that fifth foul. It is 86-76 when that foul occurred. And right after that, Bam gets 2 free throws. Jimmy gets an and one. Denver calls timeout. Out of that ATO, out of that after timeout play, Denver runs a play that I instantly recognized it. It was a play I used to run when I was with Philly. You throw the ball into the left elbow. The shooter, in this case, Jamal Murray, sets a rip screen on the right elbow and then goes and gets a dribble handoff and either shoots the three or makes a play. In this case, he got a wide open look, makes the three, 89-81. And Denver, after that point, it wasn't really a game. I think when Jokic checked back in, they lost by 1 point or it was tied. It was 96-87 or 97-87, something like that. So they won those minutes. How important are those minutes? And you think about who stepped up in those minutes. Jamal Murray found Aaron Gordon. Jeff Green hit a big 3 from the corner off a Jamal Murray pass. I thought the playmaking from Jamal Murray tonight. Look, in totality, when we look at this game, not a huge offensive night from Nikola Jokic. 8 for 19 from the field, 23 points. I think I have that right. My circle's weird. Jamal Murray, 5 for 17 from the field. However, Jamal Murray is a playmaker. No matter what coverage that Miami put on him, whether it was a blitz, a drop, a hard hedge, a switch, whatever it was, he just kept making the right play. Yeah, he missed shots. I get it. He didn't need to be an elite scorer tonight. And I thought his playmaking was a big, big key to this game. You guys know this. Anybody that's followed Islands in the League, anybody that's followed all of our DraftKings content, anybody that's followed this YouTube channel knows my whole theory on Alfreds and how important Alfreds are to a championship level team. Of course, you need a Batman. Of course, you need a Jokic. Of course, you need a Jimmy Butler. Of course, you need a Robin. You need a Jamal Murray. You need a Bam. You need Alfreds. And I thought the key to this game tonight was the Alfreds, specifically Bruce Brown and Aaron Gordon. 2 big stretches of the game. If I was to summarize this game and I was to think about what are the most important stretches of this game, I think about the second quarter when Denver took control of the game and never really let go of control of the game. And who was driving that? It was Aaron Gordon. Huge second quarter. When they sealed the game, when they wouldn't let Miami come back, when they wouldn't let them wrestle control of the game in the fourth quarter, who was it? It was Bruce Brown. It was 2 Alfreds. This is what makes basketball so beautiful. It's what makes basketball so beautiful. I thought Aaron Gordon in particular, we saw the full package tonight. we saw the full package. 27 points, 7 rebounds, 6 assists, 2 steals, hit threes, made 3 of them, had dunks, played off Jokic, played off Murray, posted an ISO and scored. It just seemed like, of all the big games he's had in the playoffs, and I said this during the Western Conference Finals, I said this at the start of this series, going into the finals, who's the X factor? Who's the key? Besides the stars, it's Aaron Gordon. This guy has delivered time and time again throughout these playoffs. So impressive. And then Bruce Brown. Bruce Brown needs to opt out of his contract. And I'm not saying he shouldn't re-sign with Denver. He needs to opt out of his contract and go get a bag. This guy has played so well throughout the season. He's played so well throughout the playoffs. This was like his signature moment as a basketball player on the biggest stage, coming through with 21 points off the bench, 8 of 11 from the field, 3 of 5 from 3, a huge fourth quarter. He got it done. And this is what is a little disheartening if you're a Miami Heat fan. Jokic and Murray didn't have spectacular games. Murray had a great game as a playmaker. The two of them, 13 of 36 combined from the field. And you lose the game by double digits because of the role players, because of Aaron Gordon, because of Bruce Brown. At this point with Michael Porter Jr., like, dude, you're due. He's due from 3. He's 3 for 22 now from 3 in this series. I thought he played a great game, though. I really did. The cutting, the off-ball movement, defensively, back to being an elite defensive rebounder for his position tonight, which he's done throughout the playoffs. Just a spectacular effort from those 3 guys. Got it done. On the Miami side, look, I thought Jimmy was really good. I thought Bam at times was really good. You can talk about some of the missed layups, some of the rim finishes for Bam specifically. It's a carryover a little bit from game 3. I thought those 2 guys were good. I'm struggling right now because I'm such a Max Strus fan. He clearly doesn't have it, and Duncan is playing so well. If I'm Erik Spoelstra, I have to give at least some consideration going into game 5. Should I start Duncan over Max Strus? Should I give Duncan more minutes? Duncan, for the better part of a series and a half, potentially even 2 series, going back to the Celtics series, he's been the best guy at that position for your team. Thought he was really good again tonight. And the other part with Miami for me, I'm a fan of players. I'm a fan of teams. I'm a fan of the game. Gabe Vincent has had a spectacular run in these playoffs. Outside of the Knicks series, he's been awesome. And he was awesome through the first 3 games. Struggled a little bit in game 3, of course. I recognize that. Just not a factor tonight. We got to figure out a way to get him going if you're Miami. And if you're getting production from Duncan Robinson like they did tonight, you're getting production from Caleb Martin like they did tonight, you're getting production from Kyle Lowry like they did tonight, something has to come from your starting backcourt. 2 of those guys, 1 for 9. The 2 of them played 19 minutes each, Gabe Vincent and Max Strus. It's just not enough. It's really not enough. And I have to if I'm Erik Spoelstra down 3-1, I have to give some consideration. I want to go back a little bit to that 5th foul on Jokic because, look, we've all seen the replays. It was shown from 17 different angles on Twitter. Watching it live, I thought foul on Jokic. Watching the replay, I thought it was a little bit of an embellishment from Bam. In general, I don't love the call. And I'm sitting there watching the game. I had Knox's friends over, a couple of his teammates, a bunch of 8 and 9-year-olds watching the game with me. And I kept saying, get Jokic back in the game, get Jokic back in the game. Miami squandered an opportunity there. And that's not to say Denver shouldn't get credit for how they played, because I've already mentioned the spectacular play from Aaron Gordon and Bruce Brown, the Jeff Green 3, the Jamal Murray playmaking, all of that. They squandered an opportunity. They could have cut that deficit. They got it to 5. They could have cut it down. At home in a must-win game, like all playoff games are. All playoff games are must-win. A little disappointed in that. But give Denver credit. Give those guys that were on the floor to essentially keep that 10-point lead. Give them credit. I thought the moxie, the guts from Bruce Brown, Jamal Murray, Jeff Green, it was there. And you have to give all those guys credit. Send your questions in right now to Jason. Love to hear his voice on this. But I want to get your guys' questions on game 4 here as we head back to Denver for a Monday night clash. Jason, what do you got?
Good evening, JJ.
Good evening, sir.
Okay, this is from SPC28. Says, how can you explain Jimmy looking so much more passive from earlier this postseason? A lot of space to go to the rim, and he's repeatedly kicking it out.
It's just how he plays. I think looking at a performance like tonight, where he goes for 25 points, 7 rebounds, 7 assists, 9 of 17 from the field. That's a normal Jimmy game. That's how he plays. The anomalies to me are the 40 balls, are the 56-point game against Milwaukee. You think back to that Milwaukee fourth quarter in game 4 in Miami, when he has, I know he had 20 plus in the first quarter that night. He had 20 plus in the fourth quarter. Like, I had never seen him that aggressive before. I've certainly seen him aggressive for quarters or for stretches of games. I'd never seen him that aggressive. That's not who he is as a player. In the same way, in some regards, to the way Jokic plays in terms of valuing the connection with teammates and having joy in his teammates scoring, Jimmy feels that too. I thought Jimmy played well. To expect Jimmy to play at a 35-point level or whatever he was at for the first 8 to 10 games of the postseason, that's not who he is. That's not who he's been through his career, and that's certainly not who he's been in Miami. He's certainly had series where he has big scoring games within a 6 or 7 game series. He has 2 or 3 big scoring games, so the numbers get inflated a little bit. But consistently, who he is as a player is a guy that looks to set up his teammates, looks to get his teammates going, and then turns it on in the fourth quarter. And he tried tonight. Now, the reality is he tried to turn it on in the fourth. It just wasn't enough. Question number 2, Jason.
Yeah. There's a lot
you seem disappointed by my answer, Jason.
Yeah. Just step it up, please. For this
what do you want me to do? You want me to trash Jimmy? Is that what you want, Jason?
No. Lord, no. I have a really great question. I'm going to save this for the third one, actually. And you addressed this. A lot of questions about Miami, Spoelstra's sort of like tinkering with the lineup, and you kind of addressed it, but still a lot of questions on, is this, this one's from Richard. It says, is this a series that's just more super Duncan than Max Strus?
Interesting.
Okay.
A lot of voices in my head that aren't Jason. So in terms of that question, I don't know that it's a non-Max Strus series. I will say I've been as impressed as anyone with Duncan's ability to attack off the dribble. And that's where I think the separation is. It isn't just about spacing the floor, coming off pin downs, playing off, dribble penetration, coming off dribble handoffs. It's really about his aggressiveness off the dribble. That's where I think he's separated himself a little bit from Max Strus in this, 6 to 7 game stretch, going back to the Boston series and the first 4 games of the series. Look, I've been in this situation before as a player where you sort of recognize, hey, maybe this isn't my series. Or you recognize, hey, maybe this is my series. And as a coach, you certainly have to recognize that. And you have to go with the guys that are playing the most confidently. I think Duncan's confidence is at a high right now. And I'm not saying that Max's is not, but his play is not reflective of how good he is as a player right now. So that's why I say got to go with Duncan. By the way, this is the weird part to me is like you look at the Heat starting lineup outside of Jimmy and Bam, who played 45 and 44 minutes. Kevin Love played 18 minutes. Gabe Vincent played 19. Max Strus played 19. You go to the bench, though the 3 guys that essentially played for Kevin, Gabe, and Max, Duncan Robinson played 25 minutes. Caleb Martin's played 33 minutes, and Kyle Lowry played 33 minutes. And both Caleb Martin and Kyle Lowry were a plus in those minutes. Caleb was a +1. Kyle Lowry was a +3. To me, you just put your chips on the table at this point if you're Miami. Whatever it is. And I'm not saying I'm right on this. I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying whatever Spoelstra believes is going to give his team the best chance to win Game 5 and send this back to Miami for Game 6, he's probably going to do. Speaking of plus minus, I want to go back. Aaron Gordon, because I named his stats. Great stats. 27, 7, and 6, 11 of 15 from the field, 3 of 4 from 3. Plus 29 in 42 minutes. I've been screaming from a mountaintop for weeks now. Jokic is the best player in the world. Jamal Murray and Jokic are the best 2-man tandem, best duo in the NBA. Still believe that after tonight. You still need an Alfred. Aaron Gordon was a star tonight. He was a star. He's the perfect fit. And I go back, I think about what Denver got for him, or what Denver gave up for him in 2021 at the trade deadline. I mean, they stole him. This guy's playing a pivotal role in an NBA Finals and is going to potentially help a team win a championship starring in his role. And they got him for very little. Very impressive. I'm very curious about this third question, Jason. Let's roll it.
Yeah. All right. I'm excited about this.
How excited? Scale of 1 to 10.
I'd say a solid 8. So this is John Rinkus. He asked, did you ever have to pee in a big moment of a game?
That's what you're excited about?
So excited.
You know what's funny, Jason? I'm actually not going to answer this question to John. I'm going to answer this question to you directly, Jason.
Okay.
When I was a child and I first started watching sports, it was the 1992 Atlanta Braves. If you remember, the Atlanta Braves beat the Pittsburgh Pirates to go to the World Series. Famously, Sid Bream, on one leg, slid underneath a tag at home plate to win the NLCS. It was a great series. Watched the World Series. Also watched the NBA Finals that year. And I remember as a kid, I was 8 years old. I remember as a kid watching John Smoltz pitch. And I remember always thinking to myself, when he's on the mound, what happens if he has to pee? And that question was never answered because I never in the middle of a game had to pee. I would pee before the game and I would pee at halftime. I would never have to pee during the game. Now, fast forward 30 years and I'm coaching 8 and 9-year-olds. And these kids, they're barely playing. I mean, they're running up and down the court. It's 18-minute running clocks. It's 20-minute running clocks, whatever it may be. And they're sitting over there on the bench, chugging coconut water and electrolytes and regular tap water and sports drinks. And without fail, 3 or 4 times a game, one of these kids, they tap me on the shoulder as I'm trying to coach, and they say, "Hey, JJ, can I go pee?" And I'm like, "Sure, go pee." But as a professional athlete, never had that. What a strange question, and what a strange thing that you're so excited about this, Jason.
To be fair to me, multiple people in the chat were really psyched that you answered this question. So whatever.
Amazing. Real quick, I want to just sum this up. So going into game 5, Nuggets will be heavy favorites. Expect them to close it out. A couple things just of note. 3-point shooting. We've talked about this variance all throughout the playoffs. Miami goes 8 for 25. Denver goes 14 for 28. Didn't really think that Miami even created good looks tonight. And I know they made some threes. I think some of that, if I'm Miami and I've tried to muddy it up, I'm going to go back on something I've said, because Denver throughout the regular season, in certain series, in these playoffs, they played with just great pace offensively, turnovers, defensive rebounds, Jokic throw aheads to Gordon, Jokic throw ahead to Murray, creating, right? When the game started, and we saw that kind of specifically the first 8 minutes, very ugly 8 minutes offensively. Like, I'm writing my notes and I'm like, pace. Where's the pace? And I recognize that Miami is not going to play that game with Denver. I think at some point you're going to have to play that game with Denver, because Denver's bigger. They're probably, I don't think it's an insane disparity. They're probably a little more talented. They're more talented. Let's just say it. They're more talented. I don't think the disparity is that great, but they're more talented. So they're bigger. They're more talented. Their mismatches they create are greater than the mismatches that Miami can create. I think Miami needs to play more with more pace. I really do. This is why Kyle Lowry, Duncan Robinson, the way he flies off in the half court, it's not just about the full court, it's about the half court. If Miami's going to get back in this series and win game 5, it's going to be about pace. If it's a slow it down game, I'm picking Denver. As much as I love the fact that Miami loves to muddy the waters and loves to be in these close games, ugly games, whatever you want to call it, I'm picking Denver. Miami's got to figure out a way to play with a little more pace. And to me, that's why Kyle Lowry and Duncan Robinson could potentially be the key for that. Always fun hanging out with you guys. Again, thank you for tuning in on Friday night at 11:50 now. And Jason, thank you for the questions, especially the third one. It was very insightful. Very, very insightful. Another Islands in the League presented by DraftKings. We always appreciate you guys. Thank you. And we'll see you guys next week.